Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be choosing my favourite Elton John tracks from the 1990s. Now I've already done the 70s and the 80s. You can see those in previous videos, and many thanks for your comments and choices, which I will be getting to very soon on a separate video. So what happened during the 1990s? Well, in terms of studio albums, we actually only have three to look at. We have in 1992, The One. We have in 1995 Made in England, and we have in 1997 The Big Picture. Those were his three solo studio albums during that time. But we also had a series of other projects. Elton was very busy in the 90s, really expanding his sort of repertoire into all sorts of other areas, film and musical particularly. So let's see what else he produced during the 90s. In terms of musicals and films, we've got in 1994 the soundtrack to The Lion King, which I'm sure you are familiar with. Also in 1999 we had two projects. One was a project with Tim Rice to write a modern version of Aida. That's of course most famously set by Verdi. And also in 1999 he wrote the soundtrack to a movie called The Muse, which I don't have on disc, although I have been looking at that. Now, also during this time, we had a series of sort of compilation albums of sorts. So the 90s began with the very best of Elton John. This is a 2 CD set, which I'll also be looking at. We also had a big set called To Be Continued, which was a 4-disc retrospective out in 1990, although no original material as far as I can see on those to be considered. We also have the Rare Masters coming out. Again, that's a retrospective, so no new material from the 90s in that one. And we also had a Love Songs compilation in 1995. In addition to that, we had Two Rooms, which was a series of tributes, a series of cover versions of Elton John's. So there's nothing really to consider on here because he's not performing those. We also had duets, which came out in 1993. And these are Elton performing with other artists, sometimes original songs, sometimes cover versions. So I'm choosing from all of those albums. And if I've missed any tracks, please let me know any that you like which don't appear on any of those albums. And I also welcome your suggestions. So I'm going to get started with honourable mentions. So these are tracks which almost made my top 20. So first honourable mention goes on the Made in England album to the title track, Made in England, the second track on the album. And this is a good upbeat rock ballad about Elton's experience of growing up in England. Not a very comfortable experience for him sometimes. So it's quite a sort of a proud song looking back, and hopefully about how England might have changed and its attitudes might have changed. So a good upbeat song there, enjoyable to listen to. Now, from the very best, there are two original songs on here. I'm going to give an honourable mention to Easier to Walk Away, which comes right at the end of side 2. Again, nothing remarkable about this track perhaps, but it's a pleasant one. It's got a lot of sort of 90s, 80s, 90s drumming in it, which isn't suited to all ears. But it's a pretty decent track, quite nice to listen to. Now, from The One, I'm going to give an honourable mention to Simple Life, the opening track. Pretty decent song, this one. We've got to get back to the Simple Life again. Not that keen on the drumming on this track. It sounds a bit industrial to me. But apart from that, it's quite a good, strong album opener there. Another honourable mention on the duets to the opening track, actually, his duet with K.D. Lang, the song Teardrops. Pretty good sort of dance number, this ballady, rocky sort of thing. Works quite well, nice interplay between the voices. And the other one I'll mention is the reworking of Candle in the Wind, which of course came out after the death of Princess Diana in 1997. So it's the same music but with different lyrics, which don't quite fit actually, but that sort of did certainly catch the mood of the nation and was a charity single. So let's get on now to my top 20. Right, at number 20, I'm going back to the very best of Elton John for the other original track on here, which is You Gotta Love Someone. This is, a standard Elton love ballad, I suppose. Again, pleasant and easy to listen to. Perhaps we don't like the rhythmic drumming on it too much, but it's a superior track, I think, and it's one that passes the time quite nicely. Now, number 19, I'm going to the Big Picture album, and I'm choosing the closing track, Wicked Dreams. Again, a strong, upbeat sort of rock ballad, this one. The percussion is much more smooth on this one, I think, much more easier to listen to. It's kind of Elton sort of reflecting on life, I suppose, and the kind of deal it gives you, I suppose. So it's a decent close of that one. Lots of people seem to like that track, so I've put that one in there as one of my favourites. Now, number 18, I'm going to Aida, and I'm going to a track on here called A Step Too Far. Now, Elton recorded this with a couple of musical stars and sort of pretty good R&B singers, Heather Headley and Sherry Scott. I think it's one of the best tracks from Aida. It's a bit of a mixed bag, this one. I haven't done a review video on the whole thing yet, although I will. There's, I would say, 2 or 3 decent tracks on here. 1 or 2 of them not quite so good, but give that a listen and see what you think. Then at number 17, I'm going to the Duets album for a duet that Elton did with Kiki D, and it's a very old song. It's a Cole Porter song, True Love. It's a beautiful song, and what they've done is they've taken the basic song and they've kind of developed it a little bit more, so it has a bit more to it than in the original musical. It's from High Society, I think, isn't it? So nice to see Elton working with Kiki D, and of course we know their voices work so well together. Then at number 16, another duet actually, but this time from The One. I'm going for the track Runaway Train, and this is a track that Elton recorded with Eric Clapton. It didn't really register with many people, this track, and I think it's a pretty good driving sort of song. There's some excellent guitar, as you would imagine, from Eric Clapton on this. It's got a good pace, good sing-along, kind of a little bit in the vein of sort of Nobody Wins, that sort of track, Go It Alone maybe as well, which I mentioned before. But decent recording this, and enjoy listening to that one. Number 15, we're going back to Aida and a song called I Know the Truth, and this is one that Elton recorded with Janet Jackson. This is a sort of fairly straightforward ballad. I think it just goes, I'm not sure it's got a refrain, it just goes through the verses, but the verses are pretty strong actually. And obviously the story is caught up in amongst what's going on Aida. I can't really describe exactly what's happening there because I can't remember. But I listened to it a couple of times yesterday, and I think it's a nice song, this one. And it's emotional. You can see the characters really getting into the music there. So again, if you don't know it, maybe give that one a listen. Number 14, I'm going to the Duets album, and I'm going to Elton's duet with Chris Rea, which is a Chris Rea song, If You Were Me and I Were You. What kind of crazy things would you have me do? Works quite well. Of course, Chris Rea's got a fantastic voice, hasn't he? And quite contrast to Elton's. Again, it's a nice song. It's about a relationship between 2 people, the highs and lows of that relationship. Pretty well done, I think. Number 13, we're going to Made in England, and we're going to the track Pain. Real upbeat rocker, this one. It's about all the bad things that have happened in the world and who's responsible for them. It's kind of a question and answer verse on this. Really strong production on this as well. A lot of the tracks on here sound a bit like the Beatles, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but certainly a strong track and a strong listen, one of the best from that album. Now, at number 12, I'm going to the Big Picture and the wonderful ballad, Something About the Way You Look Tonight. It's a great track, isn't it? It's a love ballad. The only thing I don't like about it is the fade out at the end. I think it should have had a firmer finish without changing the mood a little bit at the end. I just don't like that bit. The rest of it, I think, is really high quality. And number 11, I'm going back to Made in England for the beautiful closer, Blessed. Now, I've discussed it on a previous video, this one, and Blessed is all about imagining a child who has not yet been born. It's kind of a parent's message to a child who's not yet been born, what wonderful things are in store for you when you come into the world. Again, it's a lovely track, one of Elton's very finest recordings, I would say. All right, number 10 now. We're going back to the big picture, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I think there's some good material on here. I'm choosing the track If the River Can Bend. Yeah, this is a wonderful big production number. We've got strong backing singers on this. We've got great harmonies, great chords going on. It's a lovely melody. Again, it's all about sort of weaving through relationships, how we can sort of help each other, I suppose. And it's delivered very confidently, a good vocal from Elton. Number 9, we're going back to The One, and it's the title track, The One. Now, I've seen Elton perform this live. I'm sure you have. It's just a great ballad, isn't it? Quite an unusual, mysterious sort of verse, but a really catchy refrain. He's on top songwriting form here. Again, it's about relationships, isn't it? It's about, you are the one. But one of the standout tracks, I think, from that album. Now, track number 8 is from The Lion King. Now, I don't have this on vinyl or CD, I'm afraid, but I'm going for the beautiful love song, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? It's one of those sort of walk down chords in the refrain there, sort of Elton working through the chords in a beautiful way. It's just a lovely piece of writing. Lyrics there by Tim Rice, of course, and Elton was really showing how adaptable he was as a writer there. He can go from writing rock songs, love ballads, to a tender moment in a children's sort of family film there. And he's so able to switch between genres and use his skills in different ways. So that's number 8. Number 7, back to Made in England for the delightful Please. Now, this is even more like a Beatles song, I think. It's about let me grow old with you. It's about longevity in relationships. It's beautifully done. It sounds like the 1960s almost, in a very nice way. And I think that's probably my favourite track from Made in England. Number 6 in my top 20. I'm going back to the big picture, and I'm going to the lovely ballad Recover Your Soul. It's really laid back, this, but it's deliciously laid back. The chords are sumptuous. The words don't mean much really, do they? But they don't have to always. It's just a very easy listen, but it just fits together so well. It blends so well together. That's my number 6. Well, number 5 isn't on any CD at all. In fact, I didn't even know this song existed until a few months ago when one of my subscribers referred to it as one of their favourite tracks. I was doing a series on hidden gems, and I've done one on this song, which is called You Can Make History Young Again. It's another really laid-back track, a little bit like Recover Your Soul. There's a lovely video of Elton singing this and sort of looking back over his career. When he's singing it, he looks really relaxed. He looks like he's sort of in a good place. He's really enjoying himself. And it's a very gentle listen, maybe a little bit along the lines of Sacrifice possibly, but I prefer this track actually. So if you don't know this one, look it up. So you won't find it on a CD, but it's really a lovely recording, and it's just such a shame it hasn't featured on any studio CD. Maybe it will be in some sort of greatest hits at some stage. Now, number 4, I'm going back to Aida. My 4th favourite track of the 90s is the wonderful Written in the Stars. This was recorded by Elton with Leanne Rimes. It's obviously a key part of this musical. It's an excellent power ballad. They really go for it here. It's an excellent melody, powerful words, and it's Elton at his very best, I think. So again, if you don't know that one, give that one a listen. Now, number 3. Now we've got 3 just brilliant tracks left, and it's really difficult to know which one is going in which order. But number 3, I've gone to the one, and I've gone to the last song. It's the very last track here. Now, this is a scenario of somebody who is dying of AIDS, and they're reconciled sort of in the last moments of their life with their father. And it's just a beautiful track. Elton's given this one of his very finest melodies. It's extremely moving to listen to. It's sung from the heart. It's a great lyric as well. If you don't know it, give it a listen. That's my number 3. Now, number 2, I've gone back to The Lion King for the magisterial Circle of Life. Now, whether Elton is singing this or whether you're watching it in the musical, it's just a fantastic track, the whole thing. And when you see it with all the creatures gathering towards the start of that film, it's a very moving experience. It's a great piece of songwriting. I love to hear Elton sing it, but I don't mind other people singing it as well. It's such an uplifting, powerful song, just excellent. But my number 1, can you guess? Well, if you've seen some of my reviews from the 90s, you'll know I'm partial to a particular track on The Big Picture, and it is Live Like Horses. Now, Elton sung this on his own. He's also done it as a duet with Pavarotti. I like both versions. There's a backing choir as well. I would compare it with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. In fact, I prefer it to that, dare I say, controversially. The verse is quite plodding, not that exciting, but the refrain is just amazing. It's so uplifting, it's so moving, and it's all about living free, breaking free from your shackles, and you get this idea of the horses running wild, wherever you are on your journey in life, this is can touch you and sort of make you feel better, especially if things are going rather difficult for you. So it's just one I love. You may have a particular different one, so I invite you to send me either your top 20 or if you haven't got time for that, just send me your top 5 tracks. I'll have a look at all of them and I'll put them together in a follow-up video. So that's the 1990s. I'll be back soon looking at the 2000s. Until then, see you soon. Don't forget, we're still standing.